Give me your perspective from somebody who's run a large organization in terms of the importance that employees have here in this ongoing debate within the company.
Well, good morning, David. It's great to be with you as well. Look, I think we can expect the revelations to continue. This employee base is obviously very savvy. They're socially attuned, and now there's chum in the water. And so I think revelations will continue. And I think for Mark Zuckerberg, the problem is that he has squandered a lot of trust. He has gone up to Capitol Hill on multiple occasions. He has made blanket statements about what is going on or what isn't going on. And it turns out those statements have been, as his own independent advisory board said, less than forthcoming, or in many cases misleading. And so I think this is going to continue. I think also, by the way, David, the pressure on Mark Zuckerberg personally is going to continue. A lawsuit in D.C. court now names him personally. It's virtually unprecedented for a single individual to have this much control over this large a publicly traded company. And I suspect shareholders will continue to put pressure, not just on Zuckerberg, but eventually on the board, because there are some real governance issues at stake here as well.
Yeah, of course, that is the crux of the issue. As you point out, Zuckerberg controls this company. But I do wonder, Carly, that, from a shareholder perspective, certainly it has performed incredibly well over a long period of time. He continues to be focused on out years in terms of growth initiatives such as the metaverse. And so this would require the board to sort of say, we still see a threat here. And I wonder if what that threat really is, given, again, it doesn't seem to have impacted as yet the financial performance of the company.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think, honestly, in the short and maybe even in the midterm, there is no threat to shareholders' wealth. And obviously, in this latest quarter, not a blockbuster, but nothing wrong with it either. A $50 billion share buyback certainly doesn't hurt. I think their decision to break out their investments in the Facebook Research Lab is really smart, because it actually demonstrates how strong their core business model really is, with amazing cash generation and gross margins. Nevertheless, for example, the dual class stock structure should be sunsetted. There's no reason for that anymore. There are reasons to have dual class stock structures, but the time is long past when it comes to Facebook. There are shareholders who have been agitating about that for some time. They don't get anywhere, obviously, because Mark Zuckerberg is such a huge owner. But I do think, as you look at, for example, Boeing directors being under personal fire in Delaware court now, I'm not comparing planes falling out of the sky to Facebook. But nevertheless, I think there are real governance issues around management and oversight of risk that this board needs to pay attention to.
Well, there's certainly plenty of CEOs who are paying close attention to ESG overall, in part because their employees push them to do so. Sometimes their customers, and obviously a lot of capital has moved towards that. But I don't hear Facebook's name as much. Now, forget the environmental side, but the social and governance certainly would seem to put it squarely sort of in focus in that realm, Carly. Are we not yet there and will be?
Well, I think in fairness, there are shareholder proposals that have tried to push Facebook in those directions. Those shareholder proposals haven't seen the light of day. And they haven't seen the light of day because of the concentrated ownership in Mark Zuckerberg's hands. Nevertheless, I think that pressure will continue. And if the pressure inexorably continues to come from shareholders, if the pressure inexorably comes from the regulatory regime, either the SEC or the FTC, if pressure comes from the legal system, as it is starting to do on Mark Zuckerberg personally, and if pressure comes from employee groups, over time, I think that pressure is going to matter.
All right. Well, we're watching it closely, Carly. Appreciate you taking time with us this morning. Thank you.
Nice to be with you, David.